Hey guys, welcome back. Happy Tuesday, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday. Sorry. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so sometimes I don't know what day it is. My days are the same every day. So anyways, well, I was telling you guys yesterday about my knee, and I just wanted to let you guys know that it is feeling better today. I was praying like so much yesterday because by the end of the night, even after resting it yesterday, for some reason, I don't know why, but I was in so much pain last night with my knee, and then my whole leg was starting to hurt. It was just a mess. And I was like at the point where I was ready to like go to the urgent care at the hospital and like pray for, prednisone or some kind of something to help me. Yeah, I was about ready to sign up for like emergency government assistance or just have a large bill. Like I was just in so much pain, and I just kept praying and praying, and I went to sleep, and then I had to sleep in a very specific position the whole night, which was hard, but I did it, and it's feeling better today. And I have been praying about it, and God did tell me just to rest it, and it would be feel better by the end of the week. Um, I mean, he said like if I go to church, he can heal it faster. And I asked him, I was like, why do I have to go to church and go to the altar to like for you to do something? He said I need someone else to pray over it. And I was like, okay, but I don't go to churches on because Tuesday night because it's they don't have translation on Tuesday. And he was like, well, you can just go to the worship part. And I was like, ugh, like I just, yeah. He said he could heal it quicker if I wanted it to be healed quicker, but I would have to go to church and I would have to go up to the altar. I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep working on that because it is difficult for me. And I've asked God why. And he just said it was because it's hard for me to be vulnerable. Um, I'm getting better at being vulnerable in prayer, alone, in my closet with God. Now, doing it at church in front of people is a little harder. They don't hear what I'm saying, but it's still hard to go to church and cry or ask for help or ask for prayer or, you know, get out of your seat and go up to the front where everyone can see you. It's like, it's hard. To me, that's being vulnerable because you're like kind of just laying out your emotions and your feelings and you're just opening yourself up to God. And it's like kind of scary. It's kind of like when you've been hurt a lot by someone or like exes, and then you meet a guy and then you have a really hard time, like opening up to him because you're scared because you've been hurt before. I feel like that's what's like for me with God. I've been hurt and just by everyone. And so I don't trust people. My husband had to gain my trust and he still is. Um, it's just a matter of time to see that I can rely on him. And to give you a quick backstory to understand that, my father, um, that I grew up with and loved to death, and he loved me to death, he chose my stepmom over me, who emotionally abused me my whole childhood. And um, basically, I have severe abandonment issues. And my dad and I do not have a relationship. We have not had a relationship since I was 17. I'm 31 now. Um, I told him when I was pregnant, no response. I had a USB drive and a handwritten letter delivered to him by someone I knew and trusted um, after my daughter's first year of life with pictures and videos and stuff. No response. And so with my husband, I know deep down that I can count on him, but there's still that part of me that's still like scared. And it's not even just that he'll leave me or whatever. It's also, when we first started dating, if he didn't text me when he got to work, I would freak out. Not on him, but I would like freak out because I'd be like, oh my God, like, what if he died on the way to work? What if he got in a car accident? What if I never see him again? It was like just, I was so scared to love someone deeply again. And, um, and my husband understands. And so, um, I really do rely and trust on him a lot. But that's things that are being built over time. Um, and now that I've been getting to know God over the past year, God has actually healed a lot of that pain. And it's getting easier to let that go and move forward. And then also too, when you start to be vulnerable and open up to God and get to know him, and over time you see, oh, I can rely on God. And you start to build your roots in him and God. And then all these other people in your life are secondary to that. So then if something were to happen to my husband, I would be devastated, of course, but I will still have that foundation in my roots in God, who will not die, who will not go away, who will always be there for me forever and ever. So, you know, God wants you to be his center. He wants to be your number one in your life, not to feed his ego or to feed him, um or to give him all the glory. Like, I think the whole glory thing is just misspoken a lot. And like, people don't understand what that really actually means. And I'll get into that another day, but you need to develop a foundation and your roots in God. Everything else is secondary to God. God should be your number one, always and forever. And everything else, God will then guide you to. And the more my husband comes to God and is starting to, kind of develop, I feel like God's kind of trying to get my husband to do the same thing that he's doing with me. He's trying to get my husband to develop his roots in him. The more that happens, the more it'll be easier for me to just lean on my husband and trust in him, because I know then that he's leaning and trusting on God. And it's, kind of like a chain thing. And so, and, God's at the top, as he should be. And so I think, um, going to church has made me realize that, like, just even trying to get to know God sometimes can be like a vulnerable thing. And, um, it's scary, especially if you've been hurt a lot by other humans and or your earthly life. It's hard to then tap into your spiritual life and like, and and because, and then too, you have that subconscious thing where, okay, well, I'm being told God is the ultimate, person or thing that you can trust on and lean on, and he's consistent, and he's the truth, and he's all these things. So what happens if he fails me? You have that like subconscious like thing in your back of your mind that's like, so it's like even more scarier to open up to God and give God that chance, because then you're like, oh my God, if God lets me down, there's just no hope at all. But there's a part of me that knows that I can trust God, and it's my flesh that's fighting it. I think it's like my spirit in me and my soul knows, oh God, like, I can trust him and I can lean on him, but it's my flesh that's fighting my spirit. And so you have to feed your spirit more to overcome the flesh. And feeding your spirit is, reading the Bible, praying, going to church, talking about God, feeding your spirit things, denying your flesh. That's why people fast. That's why you also, you try to, when you're out in nature, you feel better. That's why when you're depressed or feeling sad or this or that, they say go outside and get some sunshine. Go touch some grass. Go for a walk. Because you're in nature. And when you're in nature, you're connecting with God. Why? Because God created everything. He's in everything. He's in the wind. He's in the air you breathe. He's in the sun that you feel. He's in the grass that you touch. He's in the wildlife and in the cat that you pet or the dog that you have that loves on you. He's in everything. And, when you're sitting there inside and you're, you know, eating genetically modified food and you're feeding yourself this poison, music and movies and TV shows and videos and just trash, you're feeding the flesh that way. So, in order to overcome that, you have to feed the spirit. And with all that said, I do not want you to think that I don't struggle with that, because I do. I struggle with that hard. Let me tell you. God's been wanting me to work on my diet, exercise, being disciplined about reading the Bible, and just like stuff like that. Let me tell you, I'm struggling with that hard. So it's hard to deny the flesh and feed the spirit. Even more when I know that's what I need to do. God will send me reminders. Like I'll be on my phone on YouTube watching videos and he'll be like, hey, read the Bible. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then the times that I do, I don't make it very far. I'm going to be honest. I don't make it very far. And then I go back to my videos. But I'm trying, okay? And I'm trying and I'm praying about it. And I'm asking God to give me the strength and the help to overcome the flesh. So I don't know why I went on that tangent. Sorry, guys. I'm going to tell you guys a little secret about my videos. I don't know that I've ever said this before. I don't rehearse my videos at all. I don't think about what I'm going to say. Nothing. I don't rehearse these videos at all. Before I make these videos, not always in the beginning, but definitely now, I pray and I ask God, guide my words, guide my tongue. If there's something you wanted me to talk about, tell me. And, just pour your spirit into me and you guide my videos and bless over it. And so literally what I do is I just turn on the video and I just talk about whatever comes to mind. So clearly everything I just talked about was meant for someone, either now or in the future. So hope you're listening sooner rather than later. And yeah, so fun fact. Okay, guys. I am going to get started with today's chapters. I'm pretty sure I said it already, but my knee's feeling better, so yay. And then my husband also is working on finding a new job. He was laid off suddenly again, the second time this year. But this time, though, he is praying more and seeking God's guidance more. So that's a win. Thank you, Lord. I'm very happy about that. So that's great. I've also been pushing my husband to pray. So I feel like that's my wifely duties to do that, to bring my husband closer to God, not away. Anyways, just real quick, if there's any newcomers, welcome. I've been reading the Bible for over a year now, getting to know God through the Bible and prayer. It's the best thing I've ever done. Highly recommend it. You will have some hard times. Push through. It'll be the best thing you ever do. So, start praying, start reading the Bible. You're welcome to check out my playlist. I've just been sharing my journey along the way. There's people that help me in the comments. Day 1 and 2 are the only days that don't have the recording of the chapters. All the rest do. You're welcome to follow along now or from the beginning, or just check out some of my videos. There's free Bible apps if you don't have a Bible. And just please, please, please just give God a chance. Be patient. And just seek Him with all your heart. And God knows your heart. And if you're being genuine and you're truly seeking Him, you will find Him. So, let's get into it.
Then he brought me into the sanctuary and measured the doorposts, 6 cubits wide on one side, and 6 cubits wide on the other side, the width of the tabernacle. The width of the entryway was 10 cubits, and the side walls of the entrance were 5 cubits on this side, and 5 cubits on the other side. And he measured its length, 40 cubits, and its width, 20 cubits. Also he went inside and measured the doorposts, 2 cubits, and the entrance 6 cubits high, and the width of the entrance 7 cubits. He measured the length, 20 cubits, and the width, 20 cubits, beyond the sanctuary. And he said to me, "This is the most holy place." Next he measured the wall of the temple, 6 cubits. The width of each side chamber all around the temple was 4 cubits on every side. The side chambers were in 3 stories, one above the other, 30 chambers in each story. They rested on ledges which were for the side chambers all around, that they might be supported, but not fastened to the wall of the temple. As one went up from story to story, the side chambers became wider all around, because their supporting ledges in the wall of the temple ascended like steps. Therefore the width of the structure increased as one went up from the lowest story to the highest by way of the middle one. I also saw an elevation all around the temple. It was the foundation of the side chambers, a full rod, that is, 6 cubits high. The thickness of the outer wall of the side chambers was 5 cubits, and so also the remaining terrace by the place of the side chambers of the temple. And between it and the wall chambers was a width of 20 cubits all around the temple, on every side. The doors of the side chambers opened on the terrace, one door toward the north, and another toward the south, and the width of the terrace was 5 cubits all around. The building that faced the separating courtyard at its western end was 70 cubits wide. The wall of the building was 5 cubits thick all around, and its length 90 cubits. So he measured the temple, 100 cubits long, and the separating courtyard with the building and its walls was 100 cubits long. Also the width of the eastern face of the temple, including the separating courtyard, was 100 cubits. He measured the length of the building behind it, facing the separating courtyard, with its galleries on the one side and on the other side, 100 cubits, as well as the inner temple and the porches of the court, their doorposts and the beveled window frames. And the galleries all around their 3 stories, opposite the threshold, were paneled with wood from the ground to the windows. The windows were covered, from the space above the door, even to the inner room, as well as outside, and on every wall all around, inside and outside by measure. And it was made with cherubim and palm trees, a palm tree between cherub and cherub. Each cherub had 2 faces, so that the face of a man was toward a palm tree on one side, and the face of a young lion toward a palm tree on the other side. Thus it was made throughout the temple all around, from the floor to the space above the door, and on the wall of the sanctuary, cherubim and palm trees were carved. The doorposts of the temple were square, as was the front of the sanctuary. Their appearance was similar. The altar was of wood, 3 cubits high, and its length 2 cubits. Its corners, its length, and its sides were of wood. And he said to me, "This is the table that is before the Lord." The temple and the sanctuary had 2 doors. The doors had 2 panels apiece, 2 folding panels, 2 panels for one door, and 2 panels for the other door. Cherubim and palm trees were carved on the doors of the temple, just as they were carved on the walls. A wooden canopy was on the front of the vestibule outside. There were beveled window frames and palm trees on one side and on the other, on the sides of the vestibule, also on the side chambers of the temple and on the canopies. Then he brought me out into the outer court, by the way toward the north, and he brought me into the chamber which was opposite the separating courtyard, and which was opposite the building toward the north. Facing the length, which was 100 cubits, the width was 50 cubits, was the north door. Opposite the inner court of 20 cubits, And opposite the pavement of the outer court was gallery against gallery in 3 stories. In front of the chambers, toward the inside, was a walk 10 cubits wide, at a distance of 1 cubit, and their doors faced north. Now the upper chambers were shorter, because the galleries took away space from them more than from the lower and middle stories of the building, for they were in 3 stories, and did not have pillars like the pillars of the courts. Therefore the upper level was shortened more than the lower and middle levels from the ground up. And a wall which was outside ran parallel to the chambers, at the front of the chambers, toward the outer court. Its length was 50 cubits. The length of the chambers toward the outer court was 50 cubits, whereas that facing the temple was 100 cubits. At the lower chambers was the entrance on the east side, as one goes into them from the outer court. Also there were chambers in the thickness of the wall of the court toward the east, opposite the separating courtyard, and opposite the building. There was a walk in front of them also, and their appearance was like the chambers which were toward the north. They were as long and as wide as the others, and all their exits and entrances were according to plan, and corresponding to the doors of the chambers that were facing south. As one enters them, there was a door in front of the walk, the way directly in front of the wall toward the east. Then he said to me, "The north chambers and the south chambers, which are opposite the separating courtyard, are the holy chambers, where the priests who approach the Lord shall eat the most holy offerings. There they shall lay the most holy offerings, the grain offering, the sin offering, and the trespass offering, for the place is holy. When the priests enter them, they shall not go out of the holy chamber into the outer court, but there they shall leave their garments in which they minister, for they are holy. They shall put on other garments, then they may approach that which is for the people." Now when he had finished measuring the inner temple, he brought me out through the gateway that faces toward the east, and measured it all around. He measured the east side with the measuring rod, 500 rods by the measuring rod all around. He measured the north side, 500 rods by the measuring rod all around. He measured the south side, 500 rods by the measuring rod. He came around to the west side and measured 500 rods by the measuring rod. He measured it on the 4 sides. It had a wall all around, 500 cubits long and 500 wide, to separate the holy areas from the common. Afterward, he brought me to the gate that faces toward the east. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel came from the way of the east. His voice was like the sound of many waters, and the earth shone with his glory. It was like the appearance of the vision which I saw, like the vision which I saw when I came to destroy the city. The visions were like the vision which I saw by the river Kibar, and I fell on my face. And the glory of the Lord came into the temple by way of the gate which faces toward the east. The Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the inner court. And behold, the glory of the Lord filled the temple. Then I heard him speaking to me from the temple, while a man stood beside me, and he said to me, "Son of man, this is the place of my throne, and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. No more shall the house of Israel defile my holy name, they nor their kings, by their harlotry, or with the carcasses of their kings on their high places. When they set their threshold by my threshold, and their doorpost by my doorpost, with a wall between them and me, they defiled my holy name by the abominations which they committed. Therefore I have consumed them in my anger. Now let them put their harlotry and the carcasses of their kings far away from me, and I will dwell in their midst forever. Son of man, describe the temple to the house of Israel, that they may be ashamed of their iniquities, and let them measure the pattern. And if they are ashamed of all that they have done, make known to them the design of the temple and its arrangement, its exits and its entrances, its entire design and all its ordinances, all its forms and all its laws. Write it down in their sight, so that they may keep its whole design and all its ordinances and perform them. This is the law of the temple. The whole area surrounding the mountaintop is most holy. Behold, this is the law of the temple. These are the measurements of the altar in cubits. The cubit is 1 cubit and a handbreadth. The base 1 cubit high and 1 cubit wide, with a rim all around its edge of 1 span. This is the height of the altar, from the base on the ground to the lower ledge, 2 cubits. The width of the ledge, 1 cubit. From the smaller ledge to the larger ledge, 4 cubits. And the width of the ledge, 1 cubit. The altar hearth is 4 cubits high, with 4 horns extending upward from the hearth. The altar hearth is 12 cubits long, 12 wide, square at its 4 corners. The ledge, 14 cubits long, and 14 wide on its 4 sides, with a rim of half a cubit around it. Its base, 1 cubit all around, and its steps face toward the east. And he said to me, Son of man, thus says the Lord God, these are the ordinances for the altar on the day when it is made, for sacrificing burnt offerings on it, and for sprinkling blood on it. You shall give a young bull for a sin offering to the priests, the Levites, who are of the seed of Zadok, who approach me to minister to me, says the Lord God. You shall take some of its blood and put it on the 4 horns of the altar, on the 4 corners of the ledge, and on the rim around it. Thus you shall cleanse it and make atonement for it. Then you shall also take the bull of the sin offering and burn it in the appointed place of the temple, outside the sanctuary. On the 2nd day you shall offer a kid of the goats, without blemish, for a sin offering, and they shall cleanse the altar, as they cleansed it with the bull. When you have finished cleansing it, you shall offer a young bull without blemish, and a ram from the flock without blemish. When you offer them before the Lord, the priests shall throw salt on them, and they will offer them up as a burnt offering to the Lord. Every day for 7 days you shall prepare a goat for a sin offering. They shall also prepare a young bull and a ram from the flock, both without blemish. 7 days they shall make atonement for the altar and purify it, and so consecrate it. When these days are over, it shall be, on the 8th day and thereafter, that the priests shall offer your burnt offerings and your peace offerings on the altar, and I will accept you, says the Lord God.
I'm gonna be honest, guys, I still don't understand the offerings. Why does God, why are the offerings, you know, little goats and bulls and rams, and is it barbaric how they do it, or is it more like, do they slit the animal's throats? Like, how do they do it? You know what I mean? Like, I just, I don't understand the offerings. I know God has a good reason for it. He has a good reason for everything he does. He's meticulous in everything he does, all the details. It's all perfectly well thought out, way above anything we can imagine. So I know that there's good reasons for it. I just don't understand what it is about the offerings of those things. And then he's saying, and then I will accept you. Like, I don't understand it. And, sorry. And there was a lot in the Bible earlier where, they talked about the offerings all the time. It was just talked about a lot. I just don't, it's difficult for me. I don't understand it. I don't know. I just don't. I don't get it. And then the thing that they were building or whatever, guys, I'm gonna be honest, I totally missed what that was. Like, was it like a like a full building for God, like a not a church, but like I don't know. This is why I need to read the Bible in the mornings before I do these videos. Ugh. Onward though, we're gonna keep going, and I'm gonna just keep trying because I know that I will eventually find a way to make it a habit daily, ideally. Um, because life happens and it's hard, but to read and study the Bible every day. So I just gotta keep trying. Okay, guys, well, I'm gonna go. I'll stop talking your ears off, and I will see you tomorrow for some more chapters. Bye.